Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and my guests today are Rhonda Thompson, the director of the Ripley Library, and Earl Freling, the president of the board of directors at the Ripley Library, also a chiropractor. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, I take it that your project is finished at the library, or is there still some things left to do?
We have some finishing touches to do to this phase before we go on to the next phase.
Oh, there's another phase?
Well, hopefully.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. My vision included having all of it done. So we're about halfway there.
Oh, really?
And there are, like Earl says, there's a few finishing touches that need to go on that. Not much. And but yes, we have another big portion of the project to do yet.
Oh,
so we're not done.
Okay. Well, sometimes it seems like those kinds of things go on for many years before.
Oh, it does.
And then by the time they are finished, there's other things that need to be done over again.
Start all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yes.
And, I didn't make it to your grand opening, was that what you called it, or an
Yes.
open house?
Yeah, grand
I didn't hear about it until after it was over with. I found out about it. I was thinking about coming, but then I didn't know anything about it. But how did that go?
It's excellent.
Yes, it was a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
I don't think we could have had it done more nicely.
No, it was a formal event for us board members, and we had a string quartet there from Fredonia
wow.
State University, and all kinds of excellent food, and it was very well attended. We had a nice ribbon cutting ceremony at the beginning, and some speeches by myself and Rhonda and a few other people, and our county executive
Yeah,
was
PJ
there.
Wendell was there.
So it was well received and went very well. I think everybody had a good time. I think we had probably about 80 people
Yeah,
total.
there was about 80 people total that came.
Okay, so you said it was formal. Does that mean everybody was really dressed up?
Just
Yes,
us board.
pretty
Just
much.
mostly just us board members. A few
Right.
people.
Oh,
Yeah.
mainly just you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
But everybody that came, they weren't just in street clothes for the most part.
Oh,
They
okay.
did dress up, and it was more of a formal affair. We had, really nice food and a charcuterie table, and so it was very nice.
Now, a charcuterie table, that's a kind of like a big board with lots of different
Yes.
things on it.
Yes. Actually, my daughter did it.
Oh, okay.
She's very good at this. And it goes on the table, but it isn't just a board. You can have different boards there, different things on it, but it contains things like meats and cheeses and fruits, mostly meats. And it's just arranged and looks very, very pretty.
Yeah, she did a very nice job.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, shall we go to the pictures next, do you think?
I think we can.
We can,
Okay,
yes.
Try
okay,
to-
that's a good idea, so that
There's-
we can actually see how the library in Ripley looks now.
Now these are going to go quickly. They're about 2 seconds per photograph. So as we're talking, you just kind of take a look at it. But this was the preparation. These were some of the things that went on through the building of this portion of it. And we're seeing it where it's closer to being done here than...
This is before we did a lot of demolition. The building interior was almost completely gutted. We removed 5 ceilings, 1 in each balcony area, choir loft, and then there were 3 ceilings that had to come out of the main room, which was originally the sanctuary of the church. A 3rd balcony was added, mezzanine balcony, which you see right
That one.
there,
Yeah.
with little alcoves that kind of encompassed the 3 long stained glass windows that we uncovered that were up there. This is some of the stuff
Yeah, this was
that
that we
we're
had to store
storing.
away.
We had a tough problem with storage.
Yeah, we sure did.
We had to move a lot of the books and furnishings down to the old Ripley post office.
Oh,
And
wow.
we also had a 40-foot storage container, which we packed to the
Packed.
gills with stuff. So everything you see has probably been moved at least 5 times.
Oh, yes.
There's some of the original bead boarding and flooring that was all covered.
Yeah, that was original
Yeah,
there.
that's original there.
This is what we-
That's how much stuff was being stored in the balconies, choir loft and balcony.
And that was the ceiling there after they had pulled all of the beadwork down from it.
The original
That's-
ceiling. And that's all the old rough cut timber that was up there that all had to be removed and replaced. The 2 main scissors trusses had to be jacked up because they had sagged on one end where the water had leaked in. The main beam on that side had sunk a little bit. So the trusses went with it. That all had to be jacked up and braced, and then all of the rafters were replaced with new lumber. And New Wood Creations did an amazing job of that. It was a piece of artwork. It really was.
Oh, yes.
Well, I have to admire people who can do that kind of work.
Oh, that's for sure.
I mean, you know, it's got to be really, really difficult.
And most of the, I guess you could call it the demo portion of it, was really done by us.
Yeah.
You know, Earl just knocked himself out over this project. He really did. There's, the basement, just showed the basement stairs, but there's a story behind those too that goes later.
We were moving. We had some leftover steel shelving that had to go down to the basement along with a lot of other things. Of course, the basement was full of stuff too. I had to empty that out. And we were carrying the steel shelves down in the basement, and we were almost done, and the stairs collapsed underneath me.
And now this was just recently.
Yeah.
This was after all of this.
Oh, gosh.
So between Earl and Mike Probst, Linda Probst's husband, she's on our board as well. They were able to build more steps, put new set of steps in there for us. So
They're a lot safer now.
a lot safer.
I don't think they're going anywhere.
No.
Well, you said you had to move a lot of stuff down to the old Ripley post office. Is that a post office building that's not being used as a post office anymore?
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. And we had probably 40,000 books in boxes that had to be moved down there and then moved back. And so we had a lot of volunteers that helped us with that.
Right.
Here you can see a lot of the demolition that was done. Earlier they were showing some close-ups of the beams that had to be jacked up. It's just a conceptual drawing there of there's some of the
guys, some
New
of the
Wood
crew.
crew. Those were some of the trusses or the post and jacks, 30-ton jacks that they used to raise those trusses with, and then they pulled them in with some chain binders. And down in the basement, they poured 85 bags of concrete and put steel posts up through the balconies and supporting the main beams. It's amazing that this structure was still standing after we found out
Yes.
What
how
was
bad
wrong?
how
What
bad
was
it
wrong
was.
Yes.
with it? Yeah.
Yeah, once things got opened up and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we did this when we
Right.
did. We
Yeah.
really did
Yeah.
save this building.
You know,
Yeah.
could it have actually collapsed when people were the building?
A
When people
portion of
were-
it anyway
It was
could have.
that's what got us started earlier than we had anticipated because the ceiling was collapsing. And we thought at first it was just the suspended ceiling on the first floor, but in fact it was the second ceiling, which was installed probably in the late 1940s, that was coming down. And we removed probably 6 tons of material
Oh my
with all
gosh.
3 ceilings in the main part of the building. And so the building had a big sigh of relief when it was done.
Yeah, when that
Yeah.
got taken off of there, yes, it was a lot of weight.
And,
Yeah.
So we uncovered some interesting things too.
We
In the
did.
process.
Do you think that probably it costs as much to fix an old building as to build a new one?
I think it's probably close.
Yeah.
I have to admit
Yeah.
that it's probably close. It's just that you have to think about our aging communities, that we've already got some of the buildings that are sitting empty and such, and it doesn't make sense to build new somewhere while you have this empty building. And by doing this, we're also instilling the integrity of our towns and communities.
Right.
And
You could never build a building of this
magnitude. No.
with the kind of money that we put into it. It just you could put the same kind of money into something that would end up looking like a big pole barn.
Oh,
Right, yes, it would not have had,
the character.
The character.
yes, the
Certainly
character that
not.
this building has.
Certainly not. This building is a beautiful old building, built in approximately 1890, and
Who was that in the picture?
I think it was just one of the crew that was
Oh,
working.
okay.
yeah, that's the vaulted or the coffered ceiling framework they came up with before they put the drywall and insulation in. That was in the corner is an interesting array of beams
Right,
that we
yeah,
uncovered.
that
You can see,
there.
and that actually holds up the majority of the structure. Two 40-foot beams that are probably 12 by 14 inches, and it was interesting, an interesting structure. But that was sort of the key segment of the whole structure is in that corner. So that had
Right
all
there.
right there. That had all been covered with beadboard, and when they took that off, we decided to keep it and finish it and incorporate some of the railings that went around it, along with the newel posts, original newel posts from the stairwells. We'll probably see some of that a little bit later.
Probably, yeah. That, but yeah, that has been kept, and you can see that when you come in, and everybody remarks about how unique it is.
It's the focal point of the library, as well as the focal structural piece that holds the whole thing together. This was an
There.
interesting find. It was on the original beadboard ceiling, and we refinished it and put it back up. Originally, there was a 10-foot diameter gas-powered chandelier from the 1890s
Oh, wow.
that illuminated the whole sanctuary. And the pipe and suspension came through the center of that 3-foot diameter rosette, which was turned in one big piece. It was Douglas fir and had about at least 3 coats of some very nasty paint on it. It took a lot of sanding and a lot of finishing. I put about 8 coats of polyurethane on it, and it shined up real nice. And
It did.
it makes for a nice, another focal point in the center of the coffered ceiling. New Wood Creations did some very nice trim work on that ceiling, as well
Yes,
as
they did.
as well as the entire building. You can see some of the stuff they did.
It was really fascinating to watch this process go, you know, just the transformation of the building as they were putting this back together, so to speak.
Yes. At some points it was like you didn't think it was ever going to come together, and then all of a sudden it started
Yeah.
to transform, and you could see where it was going. We have mirrored staircases that go up to each of the main balconies, and we found an interesting room above the it was actually the bell tower
Yes,
of the old church.
Yeah.
And we decided to make that into an office space. But right now we can't use it as such because we're being it's on the 3rd floor. We have to have a sprinkler system up there, which
Oh.
It
is
makes it
very expensive. I suggested just running a garden hose up there, but they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't go for
buy
that.
So
that's for another grant project.
So we're going to eventually use that space. For now, the space underneath it is this
It's
space
right
you see
there.
right there is used as a reading room. The Friends of the Library donated some very nice furniture that we have in there, and it's a very cozy little room. Also, the front entrance doors were all replaced with some tube lighting panels and doors, which are much more attractive than what was there. The doors that were there might as well not even been there. They were so bad.
Yes, they were.
And also the lights from those doors above are at the base of the reading room floor, which makes for a very nice effect.
You know, I've kind of noticed with a lot of libraries that they have like an upstairs that's kind of balcony, like the one in Westfield is kind of like that, and the one in Jamestown seems to be like that.
Yeah.
Well, mostly that's for security reasons, so that you can see people, and you know who's up there. So that's why it's open. You need to have it, you need it open for security reasons.
I never knew why that was, but it seems to be pretty common.
Right. And here you can see the alcoves that they built into the mezzanine balcony around the windows that we uncovered.
Yeah, so you didn't know those windows were there then?
We did, because you could see them. That was on part of that wasn't an existing balcony there. We knew those windows were there, but you could never see them because that part had never been uncovered before.
Oh, okay.
And they had them all boarded up on the outside.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're working on uncovering those. I got one uncovered. There's that beam work again. This was before the new windows were put in the gabled ends facing Goodrich and Main Street. That's the bell tower, and you can see where some of the original doors on the bell tower main entrance were, and now we have
there's the rosette.
There's the rosette, and there's the beam work.
Yeah, the rosette, I remember. Oh, it was last winter. It was in
Made the paper.
It was in the newspaper.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Yes, it
Rhonda.
was.
And
That was how I got the idea to have the
Stephanie
two of you
and I,
come on
Right.
to talk about this. Yeah. Now, how did an old church become a library? Why was it not a church anymore?
Apparently, with the fire codes, the church no longer met the capacity, crowd capacity.
Oh.
So they opted to sell the old church, Baptist church, to the library, the Ripley Free Library, back in about 1983.
It was in 82.
82. And then the
So the
Baptist church,
library was in a different building.
Yes,
Yes.
it was down the street.
yeah, in an old building across from Meters, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
But the First Baptist Church moved up then to East Side Hill Road and built a new building and fellowship hall.
Oh, okay.
And that was back also in the early 80s. But from that point, the library took over the old church, put in a suspended ceiling, and it used to be an angled floor, sort of an amphitheater.
Right.
But
so they leveled it.
They leveled it.
So yeah, this has been a fascinating process to go through.
Yes.
And I am so glad that we did opt to remodel this building and not
Tear it down.
tear it down.
We did have some opposition as to that. A lot of people said, "Oh, we're going to build a new building for less than this," and I don't think so. And even if we had, it would not have the character as this does. This building has been changing lives for 130 years, not only as a church, but now as a library. This is a window upon the world. We fought to keep some of the original pieces, such as it'll pop up here probably soon. There was a baptismal area right there.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
And they were showing underneath of it.
And the architect originally wanted to take it out. And we said, no, you don't. So we kept the baptismal.
Yep.
It's enclosed now, and it has a floor and a 75-inch flat screen TV, which we will use for presentations and various programs, especially for the kids, or even a family movie night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of turned it into almost like a little theater area.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And we do programming from
That was one of the
area.
questions I was going to ask you after a while, was if you were ever planning on doing things like movie nights.
Oh, yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've had a lot of new programs that we've instituted. In fact, the other night we had our second authors' night.
Was that's where you have an author come in and speak?
Local art authors.
Yes.
We had 2 of them the other night, and a month before we had
Two
of them
authors, yeah,
who
two
are
local
also
authors.
in our writers group. And we have a lot of groups that are starting to come back and meet. Sewing groups, quilting groups.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We have a writers group that meets every week.
Weekly, yeah.
And
Like, is that a class where you can kind of learn how to?
We work on our writings, but we've actually developed it more into how to get your work published. How to become published.
And as a group, we have an eventual goal of writing an anthology of sorts, where we just incorporate a bunch of short stories of our own
writings that we've
into
developed.
one book. We have an area, a shelf, where we have all the local artists or authors' books on display, and we're always looking to find people to come in and present their books.
Well, you know, both my sister and her adult son work in a library near Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania, somewhere near Harrisburg, and my nephew was doing a thing on YouTube for the library for a while. It was a comic book YouTube program that he was doing, and at one point in time they got a famous comic book creator to actually come in and be on his YouTube program. And then they took him out to dinner, they said, and my nephew was wearing a T-shirt that had something to do with that particular artist's work. And this waitress was saying something about, I'm a big fan of that particular character and so forth. So then they introduce him. She was so surprised. They said she looked so surprised when she realized she was actually getting to meet this guy who was the creator of this line of comic books that she was a big fan of. So
Nice.
So anyway, was that all of the pictures then?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, one thing somebody asked me to ask you about while you were here was if you were planning at some point in time, or maybe you already have. I'm assuming you have computers at
Yes.
the Ripley Library, and somebody wanted me to ask about that they had heard that people could come in and use a computer in some libraries for telehealth appointments with their healthcare providers. Was that something that you were going to do at all, or?
Not so much that we were going to do, but people can bring their laptops, their own devices in, and use our Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
And they can connect with whomever they want.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So, Okay, so there isn't a private room they go into or anything
No,
to do
no, no,
this?
no, no. I mean, there's
Okay.
private areas of the library that they could take, like particularly the reading room. They could go up there with their device, and if
Laptop.
they want to telecommunicate
Yes.
with their healthcare provider, they could do that. It would be quiet and private enough for them to do that.
Okay, okay. Now, I'm assuming there is a section of the library that's special for the children. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, we have a children's area. It is a little bit smaller, but our population of people that come in are mainly older ones, older people, adults. So we focus a lot of attention there. But yes, we do have a children's area there. It's kind of fun. We have like a little tiny picnic table. We have a dinosaur, many books for them to choose from, and movies. And there's a small table that they can clamber around. And you know, right now we are doing on Tuesdays. I have a couple kids come in after school. It's a little after-school program. They're coming in, and we always do a project of some sort. We read a book. They've got their library cards, and we'll read a book. We'll do a craft of some sort around that. So, but yeah, that's a nice little area for the kiddos, and they actually, now that there's this big open space, they like to try to do a lot more running around.
Oh, do they?
Yes, but I don't yell too much about it unless they get too out of control.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like, you know, it's not this. It's like Rhonda's library is not quiet. Okay, so it's not super duper quiet. We do have quiet areas, but it's not where I'm going to go run around going shh.
Yeah, you see that a lot in movies, you know,
Right, yeah.
where certain scenes in a movie or a TV
Yeah.
show take place. And, you know, if somebody says something too loud or something, right away somebody's correcting them and
Right.
telling them to be quiet.
Libraries are community centers now. We're not just libraries. Everything evolves, otherwise it doesn't exist. And libraries are one of the institutions that have been able to evolve with the times and have stayed around. So when people are like, why do we need libraries anymore?
Yeah, yeah. I
do.
think a lot of people think that maybe the libraries might become extinct after a while, but you'll believe that they'll always
They'll always be here.
always be there.
yes.
Okay.
And we're trying to attract different venues. We have the main floor we're trying to keep open to a certain extent. We have a baby grand piano. We'd like to see some piano recitals, some local music teachers bringing their students in. We're just trying to keep it open as a community center. And this is the evolution. This is our legacy. This is what we're passing on to future generations. And we're very proud of it. And looking forward to expanding. Eventually, the back part of the library, which is basically being used as office space right now and board meeting room, we're going to go up with a second floor.
Oh.
And hopefully have an elevator in there too. Someone can, right off of the back entrance, which has a wheelchair ramp.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that will
Okay, so
help.
the library is wheelchair accessible.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
then.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, there a lot more is being done with buildings and even the sidewalks in cities
Yes.
and things now
Yes.
to accommodate
Which is very nice.
people. It wasn't always like that.
No.
No.
But, so we're living in a good time in history here.
And especially as the majority of our population is aging. We
There's
need,
more older people than young people, is there?
Oh, it's getting there. Yeah, the baby boomers are coming
aging.
of age.
Well, that includes me, doesn't it?
Yes,
I think so.
it includes all of us.
Yes, I'm in there too. Randy's laughing over there.
Yeah, that's the cameraman you
yeah.
hear laughing. So, okay. Now, you're planning on having used book sales, I take it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How often do you have those?
We have one a year.
One a year?
Yes, one a
Yeah.
year.
And
When do you have it?
In August.
Yeah.
August. Okay.
I always start it the first Saturday of August.
And how long do you run
I
it?
usually run it 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, it depends on how many books we have.
Right.
Okay,
And,
yeah,
and in
yeah.
recent years, some of the books that we've had left over have been donated to the American Literacy Volunteers,
Oh, yeah.
which
yeah.
saves us a lot of reshelving. and
Reshelving, or what do we do,
Yes,
or
yes.
storing of these books.
Oh,
Yes.
right, right.
That's always been a big problem. And right now, I think we still have don't we have a table that we do sell some books on?
We do. I do it from time to
But
time.
we have to go through a lot of books. This
Right.
was the perfect opportunity when we moved all the books back
Yes, to
from
go through.
storage to go through, because we found a lot of books that were just,
People were not taking them out.
there was no
Oh,
reason
yeah,
for
right.
them.
Yes, we need to. You have to weed. That's part
Yeah.
of the.
Right.
That's part of the process of being in a library. You
Yeah.
have to weed.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you know what I got? I think it was the one they had in the summer, the used book sale in Mayville. And I picked up a book. It was called Dewey the Library Cat. Have you read it?
Oh no, I haven't. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Cute
oh
name,
my
though.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was, I think, in the state of Idaho. So I read this last summer. And it was in the state of Idaho in some really small town. And this woman had become the library director, like Rhonda is. And on a really cold below zero morning, when they came into work one day, they were hearing noises inside the book drop. Well, I guess it came in onto a table, and it was like an enclosed box on the inside, and then you opened it up, and they wound up finding a baby kitten in it. So they got the baby kitten out, and they named him Dewey. They gave him a bath and took him to the veterinarians and did everything they could. I guess he wasn't really old enough to have been weaned yet from his mother. I think they had to bottle feed him or something for a while. But I guess the majority of the town just kind of fell in love with Dewey, and he lived in the library his entire life. And I have to tell you, I mean, you know, it being based on a true story and everything, I honestly cried through the last couple of chapters, because it was like the end of Dewey's life, you know, and what that was like. And it was, I honestly cried.
That's interesting, because we had a cat.
Yeah, we used to have a library
Same.
cat.
Did you?
Yes.
And
His name was Thackeray.
Thackeray?
that's right.
Yes.
And he died, what, about 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But he was always in the library.
But yeah,
was
he
like-
stayed there all the time.
He was the mascot of the library.
So basically, that's where he lived also, just
he
like
lived-
just
yeah,
like
just like
Dewey.
Dewey. He
Just
lived-
like
yeah.
Dewey. So yeah, it was a very touching story and everything, and it was a really nice story, but it was really had a sad ending to it. Of course, losing a pet is, you know, is always going to be a sad,
Oh, yes.
sad story. So
Yeah, it was sad when we lost Thackeray. You know.
And you know, I do, at used book sales, I do tend to find books that I've been wanting to read at used book sales sometimes. So quite often, actually. So it can be a good source of information on
Certainly.
certain subjects.
Oh, yes.
Of course, there's plenty of books to just plain old borrow too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And we are in part of the Chautauqua Cattaraugus library system.
Yes.
So if we don't have a book, we can get it. Just
Yeah,
about
there's-
any book you want.
Yeah, just about. There's 38 libraries to choose from, you know, so it's like you can do the interloans. And people can do that actually on the internet themselves with their library card. They go on to the website and they can, and this will work at any library, but what they can do is put a hold on that book and it will come into their library. So when we talk about Ripley, it'll come into Ripley Library. When it comes in, we call them, say your book's here. They come pick it up, and they can actually return that book to any one of the 38 libraries, and it'll get to its home library again.
Okay. So that comes up on all of your computerized, when they get returned, that gets,
Yes.
all of the libraries get notified then?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, that sounds really interesting.
When somebody puts a hold on a book, we do what we call trap holds every morning. And we print off the list, and it's books that people want, and we do a treasure hunt around the library, and we find what they want, and we check them out. We put them in a bag, and that the system comes around twice a week, picks it up, and drops some books off to us, picks those ones up, and this is how people get their
okay, so
materials.
there are people who have jobs of driving the books from place to place to
Yes.
place. Okay, okay, that, I wasn't sure how that worked. But, okay, let's see here. You said movie nights. Now that's for families?
Oh yeah, it would always be for, family-oriented.
Family-oriented, okay. So it's not just children's or movies, or?
No, it'd be a family movie, something that children and adults can both enjoy. Just something people can bring their kids out to, and you bring them in their jammies. I don't care.
Oh
Flop
yeah,
down.
yeah. I
Flop
heard
down
that they were doing that. Probably not recently, but
No,
at,
right
the,
now we
at
can't.
the at the Mayville Library, since the coronavirus
Right.
made its appearance.
Yes, we have to kind of curtail some of those types of activities, but
Yes,
We'll pick 'em up
on
again.
that same line, we normally have an auction this time of year.
Oh, in the winter
Before Christmas.
Before
Just
Christmas.
just before Christmas. Actually,
But-
it would have been like today is when we.
But this
Oh.
year, we are featuring an online auction, and we have numerous gift baskets and certificates that have been donated to the library. And that began today, doesn't it? Didn't it?
Actually,
Or tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. People just need to go to biddingowl.com. And it's biddingowl.com. And you just have to sign up. You have to register in there, but it's very easily done. And then you can go to, browse, and you put in the Ripley Public Library. It will bring up all the baskets that we have, and you can literally just place your bid right on there. And so we did this last year because of coronavirus, and it worked out so well that we're doing it again this year that way. And so yes, tomorrow morning get started with, everybody can go ahead and.
Does it get really exciting when you have it as a live auction by any chance?
Oh, yes.
It does, yes. We used to go up to Noble Winery and do it up there, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, because we had to haul everything
Yes.
up there and get it rearranged, but it was a lot of fun, and people
Yes.
would come out and.
It was a great venue because the more people drank wine, the more they bought.
Yes. And just the happier they were. It was just a real exciting
Yes.
time. It's just, coronavirus is, the
Changed-
pandemic has changed
Changed a
everybody.
lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if we'll ever get back to doing things the way we used to.
Oh, we will. We will. Pandemics don't last forever. They just a few years, so it just feels like forever.
Sometimes.
When you're going through it.
Yes.
It's like it makes it feel like time has slowed down. Yeah.
But I also find it interesting that we have found a way to work around that too. Used a lot of technology to do that
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, there was a day and age when there wasn't all this technology and you couldn't have.
No, we could never have done
Couldn't
that.
have. What was that noise?
That was my phone that I didn't mute. It was a text message.
Oh,
We won't worry about it.
okay. Now, my husband Carl and I, the last time we took the AARP driver's safety course, we took it at it was held at the Cassadaga Library. That was, gosh, it'll be 3 years ago this coming spring, I believe. And so we'll be due in 2022 to take it again. Have you thought about maybe letting them do that at your library?
Oh, that would be
sometime?
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
certainly.
You know?
Yeah, I'm always looking for things like that to come
Yes.
in and do. We just had the Chautauqua Opportunities came in this past Thursday and did a program on senior safety. Well, she called it aging safety.
Aging safety.
Because no one likes the senior word anymore, but we're all aging. And it was a great program. It was designed to go for about an hour, but there was so much connection between the people that showed up for this and the presenter that it went for an hour and 45 minutes.
Almost double.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it did work out really well. Again, we did that in our little theater area that we were talking about. She had things placed. We hooked the computer up to the TV, and it all came up on the TV, and it was a great little presentation. So yeah, anytime that we can get someone to come in there and do it,
Certainly.
yeah.
Yeah, because that was really nice. They had. It was held in one room of the library where they had tables that we could sit at and so forth.
Nice.
So, you reminded me of something a moment ago. We had Sherry Mason. You've maybe heard of her. She's an activist and a college professor. She's involved in, activism for the plastic pollution thing. And we had her come in to speak at a couple of our Vegetarian Society dinners, a couple of different years. And I remember the first time she came in, there was a lot of people who didn't actually come for the dinner. They came afterwards because she was going to be the one that was there. And,
Right.
it was about all we could do to close up the program for the evening because people kept wanting to ask her questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, things, you can get topics like that going, and it can be very, very interesting. And I
Oh,
would
yeah.
love to be able to have something like that come in.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
And we certainly have the venue for it now.
Yes. And we also have a program director who seeks out different speakers and presentations. We used to also have speakers come in speaking about gardening and other things, organic gardening, raised bed gardens, that sort of thing. So we're always open to suggestion
Oh,
as far
yeah.
as.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you could actually do at the library. You could have classes in learning how to make things. I take used greeting cards and I make them into tiny little gift boxes out of used greeting cards. And, something like that, a lot of people would probably like to learn
Oh,
how
sure,
to do,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
certainly.
And
Yeah,
like,
so if there's anyone out there that is interested in
Right.
sharing that type of thing,
Yeah.
all they can do is contact us
Yes,
and we'll
please get in
set
touch
something
with us.
up.
yeah, tell the viewing audience how to contact you if they want to teach a craft class or anything over there.
Okay, yeah, and just contact us at the Ripley Public Library. Our phone number is 716-736-3913. Contact us through there, or you can email me at director@ripleylibrary.org, and we'll be happy to set something up.
Because there's lots of different things. I know various different people who've taught different crafts and things at the Chautauqua Institution during the summer. They call it their special studies program. Lots of different things that people can teach. So that could all be done at the libraries too. Have you thought about maybe getting a Tai Chi instructor maybe?
Oh, yeah. Well, not so much. I'm not sure we could afford that. If it's a a
Yeah.
volunteer thing, it'd be perfect. If but I would love to see Tai Chi in there at least once a week. So what I have thought of doing is, since it is costly, you can't expect instructors to instruct without being paid. But there's also a lot of things on TV, so we could just turn on the television and have people doing Tai Chi, doing yoga, things that will benefit them in health-wise.
Yeah, you can get instructional DVDs on
Yes.
a variety of different kinds of
Everything.
exercises.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and that, yes, we had totally thought of that kind of thing. I think with winter right now, everybody's starting to hunker down a little bit. We need to find a way to get them pulled out to do stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, would you want to, let's see, your location, do you want to mention the physical location of the library?
Oh, yeah. We're at 64 West Main. We're right on Main Street, right on the corner of Main Street and Goodrich. You can't really miss us, although some people, I think, miss us because it does look like a church. It's a big red brick building, and I think a lot of people just think it is a church. But because we were joking and laughing at the night of our open house, Earl and I were out there for the ribbon cutting, and of course everybody's dressed up. And somebody went by and beeped their horn. I think they thought there was a wedding going on.
They yelled something out the window, but fortunately it wasn't obscene what they yelled. But they thought we were getting married. So.
Yeah, I suppose they probably were. You can always get yourself into amusing situations.
Oh, yes.
Can't you? Now, is there anything else? We've got like about a little over 10 minutes left here. What else do you want to say about your library?
I would like to encourage people to come out. Come out and see it, come out and visit
Yes.
it, and realize that not just our library, but all libraries have so much to offer people. There really, really is. I would like to get people out there.
Do you ever have get-togethers with directors of and other people that work at the other libraries?
Oh, yes. We used to meet in person, but with coronavirus, now we do it by Zoom.
Okay. So you used to get together for like monthly meetings or
Yes.
something like that then?
And now we do it like every 2 weeks or so. We will do a Zoom meeting, and the directors that can attend do, and we do that over Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh yes, libraries are very interconnected. I just got back from a conference up in Syracuse called NYLA. It's New York Library Association, and they do a yearly conference. And this is where we will go up. We have workshops, we network with many other libraries and librarians, and just find out what's going on across the state. It is an excellent conference that we go up to. Come back with a lot of things and a lot of new ideas, and it's a busy time. It's not a time to just go and relax. You're busy when you get back, and then it was just like, oh.
Yeah. Now, when people donate books for your used library book sales, do you go through them to see if any of them would be appropriate for you to
Certainly.
add to your
Collection?
library rather than
Absolutely.
having them for the book sale?
Yes, that's the process. And we get donations all year long. In fact, this year this past week has been like donation week. And I went in, there was more in there again this morning. But that is the protocol. What I do is we go through these, we see if we have it. Do we have this book? If we do, we look to see which one is in better shape. If the donor book is in better shape, we will just transfer the number and use that one and pull our old one off and put it into a book sale.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But if we already have the book, then they go to the sale. So, yeah, we absolutely will build our collections through donations. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because some of them should be kept in the library to be shared
Yes.
with the general public.
I know we just had one donated, and I'm just like, I'm not quite sure what to do with it. It is a beautiful set. It is a book on the Civil War with a DVD. The thing is almost brand new, but a dog apparently decided it wanted to take a bite out of it in a few places. So, you know, it's got the edges are chewed, but this thing is beautiful, and I'm not really quite sure what to do with it. I may just take it apart and put the book and the DVD separate out of the package.
Oh.
Because it kind of came as a little set, little box set.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, the book itself and the DVD are fine. It's just the casing around it that the dog decided he wanted to eat a little bit.
Yeah. Now, where my sister and her son work at the library, this library, be somewhere around Mifflinburg or Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, they got a book that was donated for a book sale. And it's in really good shape, apparently, and it's quite old. And I think the name of it is, I have it written down somewhere, and I should have brought it with me, something about 20 Years at Hull House or something
Oh,
like
yes, that's a Jane Addams Addams book.
You're aware of it then.
Oh, yes. 20
Well-
years. In fact, I own a copy of that book.
Yeah, well, you know, they had contacted me, you know, because I know people like from the Chautauqua Institution and like that, and they were hoping I could help them sell it because they'd gone on the internet and found out something about it was supposed to be worth a few $100s or something.
Oh, I don't know. I picked mine up for $2.
$2. Was that at a book sale?
It was. It was at a used bookstore.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, the historian in me wanted this book.
Yeah. So they were hoping that they could sell it as kind of a fundraiser for their library. I put them in contact with a few different people, but nothing ever really came of it. So anyways, I don't know what they're going to do about it now, but as long as we've got a few minutes, why don't you tell the viewing audience something about this book? Wasn't it published? Wasn't there a publishing company at Chautauqua? I think that's what somebody said.
I'm not sure if there was. I imagine there was at one point. There had to have been. But
Yeah.
20 Years at Hull House was from Jane Addams, and it was out of Chicago. It was where she had managed. She worked very closely. She very community-minded woman and wanted to help people socially. And so she found some of the old mansions that had been run down in Chicago, and she built them up. And it was mostly immigrants and very poverty-stricken people that would come in there. She would teach them. She would have classes on American forms of cooking, because you have to remember this was a period of time that immigration
Was this in the
great.
early 1900s?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So, and she actually fought with the city about cleaning up the city. She was considered a muckraker, where you will get people that are community-minded rake up the muck and expose corruption or whatever.
Okay.
So she was known as that, but she actually embarrassed the whole city by having them down there with the press, and went out one day and dug, and it took her, she dug 18 inches down through muck and whatever before she reached the street. And she wanted to expose this to the city, to clean up the city, work to clean this up, not just in your...
You mean there was trash?
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to remember the time period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, there was trash and garbage, and at that point, you know, things
They didn't
were...
have trash pickup.
They
back
didn't
in
have
those.
trash pickup, especially not in the poverty-stricken areas. They weren't going to do that. There was also, deliveries were made by horses, so you had the excrement of the horses. You had, you know, there was just a lot of things that happened then that don't happen now. So you have to, you know, put it into perspective.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah,
time period.
like we have all of these systems set up to take care of things like
Things like
trash
that,
pickup
yes.
and like that.
And they did have that, just not for the whole city. But you
Oh.
also have to remember, at the time period, immigrants were coming in like a lot. So cities were inundated with so many people. They had nowhere for them to live. It was creating too much trash. They didn't have enough jobs for all of them. And these were the things that Jane Addams was working to, help solve some of these problems. So.
Yeah, my sister was saying there was stuff in the book about teaching them good personal hygiene and all kinds of things.
They would give
So-
lessons on what they refer to as American cooking, but yes, hygiene, lessons in English to learn to speak English and write in English, the ESL, which we still do today.
So she served a really important function in her community.
Yes, she did.
And,
Yes, she did.
and she did that for 20 years.
Yeah, well, she did it for longer than that, but that was pretty much the getting things really moving and going in Chicago through Hull House. Yeah.
Okay. She almost sounds kind of like a Mother Teresa kind of person
Kind of,
or
yes.
something
Yes.
like that. Yeah. So, do you have anything more to say, Earl, from your perspective about the library? We've got a minute and a half here.
Other than, Rhonda and our clerk, Stephanie, have done an excellent job with keeping current with seasonal decorations. We just got done with Halloween. And now is a fall Thanksgiving theme. And we have how many quilts hanging from the
I think
balconies?
there's 18 quilts right now
Beautiful
from
quilts.
the 9 Owls out of Westfield are on display.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah,
display
and
of quilts.
It goes along very well with the Thanksgiving theme. So we've always remained current, and I'm kind of anxious to see what they're going to come up with for Christmas, because we have a ton of Christmas decorations. So all I can say is
You have a
if-
ton of Christmas
decorations.
Where do you get these decorations?
mostly donated.
Mostly donated, yes,
Oh.
and then
So you have to figure out where you're going to.
Oh, we have plenty of space now.
put
yes,
on.
much
But
more room for
I
decorating now.
encourage people to come in and see us, if for nothing else, just to see the building. It's impressive. People walk in and it's always the same expression.
Yeah, there's
Their
the jaw
their
drop.
eyes light up and their jaws drop.
Now the quilts are they just for decorating, or
they're just on
they?
display.
They're just for display
Right now.
Okay.
They're just for a little bit at a time. The 9 Owls will come back and get them. They just put them on display for people
What
to
do they
see.
do with it? Do they sell them, or
I imagine some of them do. These are just private people who get together and do quilting, and
because that's what they enjoy
yeah,
doing?
because that's what they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
We do have a quilters group that comes into the library once a week,
Yes.
and they work on their quilts right there. They come
Well, you could also have groups that do embroidery and knitting
Yep,
and
Yes,
sewing,
we do.
crocheting.
we do.
We have a knitting and crocheting group that comes in every week on
Oh,
Tuesdays.
good.
And so, yeah, check out our website. Our website is ripleylibrary.org. And check that out. You can find out all kinds of things like that on there. We post our programs that are coming up, get posted on the website. They're on Facebook. We have a newsletter. The Bookworm goes out once a month to, it's dumped through email. And anybody can contact us, sign up for our newsletter. And again, it's my email address is director@ripleylibrary.org. The phone number 716 first now, 716-736-3913.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for
Okay.
coming on.
Thank you for having us.
We've come to an end of another episode of Fresh Perspectives, and we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Oh, that'd
Certainly.
be wonderful.
And I'll see the rest of you in the viewing audience on the next episode.